What's up, guys? Today we're going to review an absolutely excruciating spot that I have a zero clue what I would do, and it's been like 3 months. I've been thinking about this hand for a long time. This hand is absolutely disgusting. It is between what some people are calling the hottest run in poker currently. Chris Brewer, also known as the guy who was running the worst at one point, now absolutely destroying everybody, and Jordan Espen, who won the main event 2022 for $10 million, an absolute beast himself. Let's go ahead and get in the action.
Luxon Invitational. That draw, by the way, to the Luxon Invitational is currently happening. Giving you all more information on that later on today.
Just for context, this is a $200,000 buy-in. There are only 8 people left, and there's $4.3 million for first, with a bunch of crushers at the table. Let's carry on.
150. Important part. That was important.
Brewer getting busy from under the gun with the King 10 suited, and again, chip leader jorstad going to be getting involved with a couple of jacks, just 2 seats over. Opting to just call with players behind. Pardo going to get out there in the big, so Brewer and jorstad going to lock horns. 2 good friends, no friends at the poker table.
No friends in the booth either.
Wow, that's just shade, unnecessary shade. As we head to the Jack 9-8 board, and Brewer has flopped the second nut flush, with jorstad flopping top set. How about this for a dynamite flop?
And with Brewer coming in with the under the gun open and now checking this flop, certainly Brewer can have a lot of hands like ace king, ace queen, but no clubs. That may find some check calls, but don't want to bet on this texture. And Brewer.
Pre-flop, Brewer decides to go for the 2.5x with King 10 suited. Espen just decides to call with pocket jacks, which is completely reasonable. You can mix 3 bets, you can mix call. Generally, when you cover people at final tables, you want to do a lot more calling with these kind of hands, as you don't want to really get it in with Chris Brewer, especially as one of the chip leaders. And then we get this flop where Chris Brewer flops the king high flush and Espen flops top set. Now, some people are wondering why Chris Brewer didn't lead out, probably. And this is because oftentimes you do a lot of checking here. And for you nerds, let me just go ahead and pull up a chart very quickly. And here's how King 10 looks. Of course, we can go for bets, we can go for checks, but the high CV option is to check. And at final tables, that is going to be the more normal play. Once checked over to Espen, he goes for the small 20% bet, and Chris has the option to check raise if he wants. However, he's just setting the trap. He's setting the trap. He doesn't need protection. I mean, he even has the open-ended straight flush draw, right? Even if he is coolered, somehow losing to the nut flush draw, he still has 2 outs, right? With that said, let's carry on to the turn.
The weaker part of a pretty strong range from under the gun with the call.
Well, how
oh my
about
God, what is
quads on the
happening
turn?
here?
So sick.
And note that Brewer is drawing live.
But just immediately looking over at Espen, and has to know that when Espen calls pre-flop, can certainly have 9s, 8s, and jacks sometimes as well, just flatting there. Pocket 10s, of course, also a possibility. But can't love the board pairing when you have a flush against a range that can have a lot of boats.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. 670 in the middle. Quads on the turn for the chip leader. Action on Brewer. Drawing to the queen or 7 of clubs as checked over Jorstad, who comes out firing with a size of 480,000. Immediate discomfort for Chris. Knows that Jorstad can 9s, 8s, jacks, perhaps jack 9 suited, as well as stronger flushes. Stronger flushes a concern as well, Maria. You know, maybe an ace 10, or sorry, an ace 5, an ace queen of clubs in early
Yeah,
position.
I think that ace queen of clubs can just flat the under the gun open. And it feels so gross, but with the presence of that straight flush possibility.
On the turn, we see Espen go for the bet of 480,000. And there's no reason for Chris Brewer to do anything besides call. Check shoving doesn't accomplish anything, as it's very hard for Espen to have a worse flush. Let's say 6, 7 of clubs or something like that. He's not going to flat. If he's going to do anything, he's going to 3-bet. So you're only just getting called by better. You block all the other clubs, right? So, of course, when you have the king 10 of clubs, they can't have anything, really relevant. The king, queen of clubs, all that stuff is all blocked. So check shoving just gets called by boats and better flushes. So with that said, let's carry on to the river as this gets dicey.
Not fold here, but you can just tell he doesn't love it.
I think at this point, Jorstad knows that he's up against the legit strong range. Overpair with a club, a flopped flush. 1.6 million in the middle. Brewer started the hand third in chips. Forget Pardo. He's currently on 8 bigs. Would be a disaster for Brewer to go home in 8th. Does Espen go for the jugular?
5 seconds.
Does he go for it all?
As you already mentioned, with Brewer calling that turn bet, Jorstad is going to give him some very strong holdings here, but also knowing that he covers so much of the board. Oh,
Crazy fucking hand. I flopped a fucking flush.
Not often you hear Brewer.
Beat value, but I don't know if I can fold.
Now, normally this is where I would, tell you my analysis, but Chris Brewer actually talks out loud here and gives us a little treat to think in the mind of one of the best players in the world, playing the highest stakes all around the world. So let's go ahead and take the time and just listen to what he has to say.
Immediately throws out all of his time extension chips, Maria. Has 17 time extension chips in front of him.
I don't think I'm supposed to call it at the time. It's a really wild fucking hand.
5 seconds.
Just take the time banks. Don't have to tell me 5 seconds. I have infinite.
Are you allowed to say that you have a flush? I thought that was a penalty in the tournament.
I mean, this is a nuts fucking spot. Alright. Let's think about this.
Not to be a Karen. Very Karen question.
A rare treat for the viewers around the world as we get to hear some of Brewer's thought process.
You have some ace 10, ace queen of clubs. No, you don't have ace 10 of clubs. You have some ace queen of clubs. It's probably the only nut flush you have, because you probably 3-bet low ones. Okay. Probably 3-bet jacks. You don't flat jack 9 suited. Those 9s and 8s. 9s, 8s, ace 10, ace queen of clubs.
counting the combos of value hands that have him beat here, and just wondering how often does Espen have offsuit combos of ace X with the ace of clubs that he calls the open from under the gun with. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think there's that many.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. I think it's
I
fine.
don't think it's flat. Look, 7-6 of clubs.
Well, I'm not going to say too much.
No, just
So if you couldn't hear what he's saying, this is how I'd be thinking about this spot as well. If you think about the combos, there is one combo of ace queen of clubs, there's 3 combos of pocket nines, there's 3 combos of pocket eights, and there's 1 combo of pocket jacks. So we're looking at 8 combos of value, but now where do we get our bluffs from? Most of our offsuit candidate hands are going to go for the 3-bet pre. Perhaps he can have ace queen with the queen of clubs or the ace of clubs, but that's not always. That's not always. So we're looking at like a very thin line of bluffs, and it's not a ton of value hands, but on this time and on this type of board, yeah, I mean there's a decent amount of value. Like when it goes bet shove, it's going to be 9s, 8s, and jacks and ace queen suited quite often here. Let's continue to hear his thought process.
Take picture of the guy in final payment.
There you have it, giving espen
even if you
9 value combos.
everything and you still supposed to fold. I need you to have like 7s with a club and just fucking run it. Alright. And if I fold this and I'm wrong, it's just like the worst decision ever, but
I think Brewer's coming to the right decision here, Maria.
Well, if you don't think your stat is going to flat your under the gun open with, say, ace 10
like 2.5x,
off.
like I don't think you're playing. It's just so hard to fucking have a bluff here.
Exactly, and we'll only really have like ace jack off or ace queen off because he'll 3-bet ace king
I'm gonna
off.
call very, very unoften. But I am gonna call sometimes.
It sounds like Brewer's resorting to randomization.
No, don't leave it up to chance. Just find the fold button, Brewer. You can do it. What's interesting?
Just don't beat value. It's a club queen.
Makes the fold, Maria.
Yes.
Lays down the king 10 of clubs and lives to fight another day, and he's going to look back on that one and give himself a real pat on the back. He is still in this fight.
That's an insane fucking spot.
Chris Brewer ends up making the amazing fold after flopping the second nuts and lives to fight on for another hand. I don't know actually what place he ends up getting, but this is showing you why, in theory world, this is probably a call, but this is showing you why he is one of the best. I mean, look at these results. I mean, coming off back-to-back first in Paris, coming off back-to-back first in Paris, a bunch of 6 figures, winning 5.3 million, etc., etc. It goes on for a while. He's hot. The guy is on fire this year. Who's going to stop him? We don't know, as he has just been crushing. Anyway, what an awesome hand. Awesome to hear his thought process as well. This is how I like to break down hands. Anyway, hopefully you guys like this video.